What's up, guys? Mike Leslie here from Full Circuit Training. I'm here at Big Tech's Gym today to show you the Sled Drag series that I like to use for active recovery. Briefly, I want to explain why we like to use the Sled Drag series on our recovery days to help enhance recovery and decrease recovery time. Basically, it is all concentric work. So what that means is there's no lowering phase or eccentric portion of the movement. The reason why that's relevant to recovery is because the eccentric phase of a lift is usually where you're going to build up the waste products that contribute to soreness and contribute to an increased recovery time. So for example, on a squat, the lowering phase or going down is the eccentric, coming up is the concentric. That lowering phase, believe it or not, is what usually is what builds up the most soreness, can inhibit glycogen reuptake, et cetera, and build up those waste products that are going to contribute to a longer recovery time. So that's why we like the sled work, because everything you do is the raising phase or the concentric portion. So even from the flies that we do, or the chest flies, or the backwards drag, it's just all getting blood flow without building up those waste products through the eccentric portion of the movement. Okay, so I'm going to start the series here in just a second. All right, guys. So here I am with just a good old dragging sled. Nothing too complicated about it. This is an Elite FCS basic dragging sled. We got just a nice long chain on it, and this is the strap that came with it. You can get a similar strap from like Spud Inc. or something like that. You do want the chain long enough so that it's not going to be bobbing up and down off the ground. If nothing else, it just gets really annoying. Okay. So the first movement I'm going to show you is just a basic backward sled drag. Now, even though it's a very basic exercise, I see it done incorrectly very commonly, especially in like contests. So what you want to think about doing is not being in a bent over position with your shoulders protracted and rounded and scapula is elevated. You want to do the opposite. Extend the hips, have a nice neutral spine by engaging the core and the glutes, tuck the hips under the body. Okay, arms are extended, shoulder blades are pulled back, traps are not elevated, shoulders are not rolled forward like so. You're extended, engaging the shoulder blades. It's a nice deliberate movement like so. You see how with each step kind of deliberately, extending that quad, getting some blood into the quad. Alright guys, the next one in the series is the forward drag. So all you're going to do is place those straps that I just showed you over top of the shoulders like so. I like to clasp my hands just so I'm not having to fight the ropes too much. Once again, nice strong position down in the midsection and glutes. Think about marching, okay? Really extending and pulling the leg through by engaging the glute like so. Now, right now I don't have any weight on the sled just for demonstration purposes, but for a recovery series you're going to want to use a light to moderate weight. So for these first two movements I'm going to use probably about 90 pounds. For some of the later movements I'll probably shed it off to about 45 pounds. Alright guys, the next one on the series is the road drag. So getting a little more upper body into the movement here. Also very good for getting the hips, a lot of blood into the hips, whereas the backward and forward drags kind of focus on the quads a little bit more. This will really get the hamstrings and glutes and even lower back, get a lot of blood flow through there. So start position is you want to be bent at the waist primarily, not too much in a squat, although you can do it this way. I like to do it a little bit more with the load on the posterior chain, really getting some tension in those hammies. Shins want to be about perpendicular to the ground, so it's like a deadlift position in terms of shin angle. Feet are going to be a little bit wider, however. Arms extended with plenty of tension on the strap. Forcefully extend, squeeze the shoulder blades back together, step back, get a little more tension on the rope. Nice flat back, hips are back, loading the hamstring, weight on the heels, extend and squeeze, okay? What's very easy to happen, and will give you a good indicator of the weight being too heavy for recovery is if this happens. If the weight kind of pulls you forward, A, you're probably not thinking about extending the hips enough, engaging the glutes. B, the weight might be a little bit too heavy. So that's your emphasis, is that punch from the hips, kind of finishing a slightly diagonal angle, step back, do it again. Alright guys, so this is the next exercise in the sled drag recovery series. Notice I have the straps around my ankles. What I'm going to think about doing is, with the leg that is not moving, that I'm not stepping with, you want to really think about engaging that glute to kind of pull the leg through as you take that step. I like to get a little bit of locomotion involved, aka that arm movement like you're running, like so. Forcefully planting, staying on the heel. Think about squeeze, extend, okay? Really think about pulling the leg through with the hip, engaging those glutes, getting a lot of blood flow. You're also gonna get some blood into the hip flexors and just the hips in general. Really, really good for loosening up, as well as getting blood flow into the area. Like let's say you just did some heavy squats the day before, hips are feeling tight. Really good to really open up the hips, especially prior to doing any sort of stretching or mobility work. Alright guys, next exercise in the series for the sled drag or the recovery sled drag series is kind of the exact same thing as what we just did, just backwards. So instead of moving forward, fighting the tension with the front of your anterior chain, you're going to get a little more posterior chain involved. Once again, think about getting that locomotion, leading with the heel, squeezing the glutes, pull the leg through. Notice how I'm not taking excessively long steps, kind of just getting my toe even with the front heel there. Really squeezing through, like so. Once again, really good for getting blood into the hips, especially the lateral muscles like the glute med and stuff like that. Whereas the other ones are going to get a little bit more of the front and back of your body. It's going to get the lateral muscles involved a little bit more, getting a lot of blood in there. Activating them, this is great to do for recovery, as well as prior to lifting, especially squats, deadlifts, anything that's going to involve those areas, of the hips. So I forgot to mention for those last two exercises with the straps around your ankles, that's probably where you want to lighten the weight to, instead of going 90 pounds, for me I go 45 pounds. Same thing for this. Anything where it's a little bit more isolated, you're involving, smaller muscle groups, probably lighten the weight so you can really focus on, how your body's moving as opposed to compensating your body position to move that weight. It's a good way to actually tweak something too. So make sure, you're not focusing on weight with this. It's about how you're moving, engaging the right areas. So this is a chest fly. So you want to start with a decent stretch in the chest. Bring it up at a slightward angle. Step forward, get some more tension on the strap. See how I'm bending forward just a little bit, or leaning forward just a little bit. Squeeze, step forward. Squeeze, always think about that strong position down below, not hyperextending with your butt out or anything like that. Okay, strong position in the core. Pull through, squeeze. Hey guys, this is another exercise in the recovery sled drag series. It's once again a kind of an isolated movement. However, for this one, I like to get a little bit of help from the hips since it is a little bit of a weaker movement. And you want to make sure your shoulders are moving correctly and you're not putting yourself into impingement. So impingement being kind of elevating the shoulders, rolling forward, and getting that supraspinatus impinge between your collarbone and humerus. So slight bend at the waist, a little bit of hip extension to help squeeze back. Really focus on going backwards, straight backwards, and not elevating up. Squeezing that mid back together. Get a little bit of tension, slight forward bend, like so. What's up, guys? The next movement in the sled drag recovery series, just a good old bicep curl. So what you want to do is start with your arms fully extended, fully supinated, or palms facing upward. Slight bend at the waist. What I like to do is I think about pulling my knuckles to my forehead, extend back just to get some more tension on the strap, like so. Once again, keeping a strong position in the shoulders. You don't want to be rounded forward with your traps going up, doing stuff like this. You want to set the shoulders down and back, just flexing at the elbow to really get blood into those biceps there. All right, guys, here's the final exercise in this particular sled drag recovery series that I like to use. But the nice thing about the sled is you can use it for a whole host of different exercises. You can use it like we're using for recovery. You can use it for power and strict development. You can use it for conditioning. It's a very, very versatile tool, okay? So for the tricep extension, you want to get a good stretch in the triceps. Once again, a strong position in the shoulders, not being elevated or rolled forward. Strong position in the shoulders, nice stretch in the triceps. Extend, step out, get some tension on the strap. Extend. What you want to think about though with the extension is not hyperextending your elbows. There's no need to do that. Place undue strain on the tricep, on the elbow joint. Just a good solid extension, but not that hyperextension. No need for that. Step out, like so.